The NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by the SGPN merch store. Use promo code SGPN NBA to get 10% off of everything in the SGPN store.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
I'm raising the ante. Anybody wants it? Yeah.
Jordan Davis, dog. Jalen Hurts, dog. AJ Brown, dog. How many of you want to eat a W tonight?
Welcome in to the NFL Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We have another full house today. Ryan McIntyre, Justin Mark in the house. We are breaking down the NFC South today. I had to come back on the NFC South day, didn't I, guys? I feel like this is anti. You guys had such a fantastic talk about the NFC North, and I get to come back to the NFC South. Goodie for me. But gentlemen, we're back again, breaking down yet another division. I know there's a ton of football going on, and the NFL is still king. But here we go. And yes, as already, Nick Fortune in the chat. LFG, yes, let's go. Excited to talk about some Tampa Bay Buccaneers and some New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, no, this division was entertaining last year. Everybody thought penciled Tom Brady and the Bucs in, and they had to hold on for their dear lives coming down the stretch. Carolina, JMark and I think we gave it out at the midway point. It was like 12-1 to win the division, and they almost came all the way back. A couple of ticky-tack calls, I think, went against us, and they had to get TB12 across the finish line. But, yeah, Brady's no more in the South, and this division's wide open again, I think.
Nope, Justin's still muted.
Can't find my unmute button. This division's gross, really. I mean, when you look at it, this division, there's a couple different divisions, and they both seem to be the AFC South and the NFC South to me, that they're just gross, right? I mean, there's not a lot that excites me about this, except maybe what Derek Carr can do with the Saints. I am intrigued to see that.
And that really is what the biggest news, I think, is, other than Tom Brady departing. Obviously, that's the biggest news there, because now you wonder if, and listen, last season, Tampa 8-9, Carolina 7-10, New Orleans 7-10, Atlanta 7-10. You want to talk about just straight nothing across the board? Like, it's about as ridiculous as it gets for a division. 3 teams at 7-10, which is, I guess, impressive that they're all basically the same team, with the Bucs just one game better. But now it makes you wonder if any of these teams have anything for them. Is this now the Saints division to win because they have Derek Carr? I mean, I know Raiders fans are like, no, but by and large, Derek Carr was not necessarily, I don't think he was that bad of a quarterback. I just feel like the Raiders never put any effort into being better. I mean, they on paper, they did things to make them seem better, right? You bring in Devontae Adams, that's supposed to boost you, but it just never felt like they were trying to get better. So maybe the Saints is maybe a change of scenery for Derek, may get him some better traction. I don't know. I'm not a GM.
It's funny how he went from the consensus worst quarterback in the AFC West with Mahomes, Herbert. I guess actually Russell Wilson could arguably be the worst quarterback with how he played, but he goes to the NFC South and he's instantly by far the best quarterback in the division coming back. So yeah, I think the odds say that New Orleans is a clear favorite, but I mean, this is the NFC South. It seems like the favorite never wins unless it's Tom Brady, and he's not there anymore.
Yeah, can you imagine being Bucs fans and you go from Tom Brady to, I assume, Baker Mayfield is going to be their starter? Like, that's rough. That is rough.
You go from the greatest of all time, potentially, to another in a long list of names on the back of that Browns jersey, right? That's what you go to.
And who's going to be the quarterback in Atlanta? Is it going to be Heineke?
I mean, it should be.
Yeah, right? It should be. It would not shock me if they're like 2-4 quarterback controversy. Heineke comes in, reels off just like he did in Washington, and they win the division. None of these teams would shock me. I mean, New Orleans was a weird team last year. On paper, they looked really good. Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, they didn't play. It was just a weird situation. Jameis started as the quarterback to start the year. Then it was Andy Dalton. Then it was Taysom Hill. Just an overall weird franchising situation with year 2 of Dennis Allen.
I am not looking forward to any of that. I think what I'm looking forward to is just knowing that when the NFC West plays, when the Niners play, any of the teams in the NFC South, I feel like this should be a cakewalk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
should be.
Yeah, should be. That's on paper. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. But this is, of course, the NFL gambling podcast. So what we have done in taking a look at these is we're taking a look at the odds for each of these specific teams. And we're kind of breaking down for you what we think is a good price to pay, what the odds are for them. So where do we want to start, gentlemen? Which icky team, which one do we want to rip the Band-Aid off with right now?
I noticed the wife is in the chat trolling me here. Why doesn't JMark have a whiskey? It's an excellent question.
It's noon your time, pop
Right?
one open. Let's go.
Right?
Dealer's choice, Rod.
Yeah.
Dealer's choice. All right, fine. Well, let's go ahead and start then with Tampa Bay, because we had just touched on how they are losing the star of the NFL. For now, it's still April. I'm waiting for the day when Tom decides that he is bored in May, in the middle of May, and says, maybe I'll come back again. And then Tampa's like, please, please, please. Because, I mean, like you said, leaves you with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. That's a pretty big dip down. I'm sorry, but Baker Mayfield has obviously been bounced around for a reason. I mean, it's not as if Baker Mayfield is lived up to the potential that he probably could have. And look, speaking of somebody who never lived up to his full potential, I recognize it. Game recognizes game. So like, I'm not hating on you, Baker. I'm the same way. So I'm just saying in this field, I have not lived up to my full potential, but this obviously takes them aback a little bit. What are we looking at for Tampa Bay in this division?
You got to think that they're going to take a step back. I mean, they weren't a very good football team consistently throughout, and they got embarrassed in the playoffs by the Cowboys, who never win a big game, and they just went there and punked them basically. Couldn't block. Their defense took a step back. They struggled to run the ball throughout, and honestly, they only made the playoffs just because Tom Brady was Tom Brady and just found a way. Like, they would get outplayed for 55, 56 minutes, and then he would do Brady things. The Tampa Bay or the New Orleans Monday night game, the Carolina game that we're talking about, he just single-handedly willed them. I think this is going to be a bad team next year, me personally. How about you, JMark?
Yeah, they have a lot of needs, right? I mean, if you think about this team that just a couple years ago was a Super Bowl team, now they have a lot of needs. They have a need at quarterback, because I'm not sold on Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask being their answer. They really have a need at running back because they couldn't get anything done on the ground, and Fournette is gone now. They're okay on wide receivers. I mean, Evans and Godwin, but they need offensive line help. They need cornerback help. The linebackers wants out. Like, they're piling up a lot of needs here, more than I think they can get in the draft.
So they're plus 700 over on a couple of books here, and DraftKings in particular has them at plus 700. I mean, they're not even the favorite. They're the least favorite. They are the longest odds to win this NFC South. They went from, like you said, Super Bowl contender, always a perennial to win the South, to now the books they're like, no way. This team is not even going to come close. And 7-10 may be a stretch for these guys this year.
Yeah, I think we just did the NFC North last Friday, and I feel like we're looking at the same situation as Green Bay. You're going to lose basically the face of your franchise, the guy in which why you were the chalk favorite for years with Rodgers. Same thing with Brady. It's they seem like mirror images of one another last year, with both teams just being well under what everybody anticipated. And now you're taking the best player off of even why that team is in contention. I think this is definitely a rebuild year for Tampa Bay. I'm not touching that 7-1 price, even though I don't think nobody runs away with this division.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is going to be another year where they all just kind of finish mediocre, right?
Mhm.
That's what I think looking at these teams. So I guess if you think Baker could lead, or if you think they end up taking a quarterback early on, I don't think they will. It just doesn't seem the style of their GM, but it's possible. So I guess, plus 700, that's good money you can make if you believe that they can keep this running and can win this division.
That's a heavy investment to make on a team that may or may not even finish in the finish the season.
I don't recommend it, but if you have that belief, I mean, plus 700 is hard to say no to if you think it could happen.
Yeah.
And are we sold on Todd Bowles? I mean, in 1 year 1 year at Tampa Bay, you go below 500 with Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady never goes. It was his first year under 500. So, I don't see the reason why anybody would be optimistic on this team. JMark, I know you just released your 7-round mock draft, so everybody go check that out without giving away all your picks. Because we don't want to just give away all your picks. That's why you go check out the mock draft on our website. Where do you think they'll go early in round number 1?
Yeah, I do have them taking a cornerback, so focusing on that defense. But kind of a surprise pick, I do have them taking a running back in the 2nd round. So go check that out and find out which running back. I won't say which one.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, have them waiting for quarterback until the 6th rounder. So that's just taking a stab on a guy you hope can do something, develop into something.
Trying to find the next Brady in the 6th round, like once upon a time.
late round magic. Speaking of late round magic, let's talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here. What better way to get down on some player props parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've also got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes going on. You want to get in, head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. NFC South is the new NFC West, I think is really what it was from back in the day when everybody in that whole thing, I remember Seattle won it with a 7-10 record, 4 or 5 years ago. So I know that Mayor says that Brady and Gronk are coming back, but maybe on Madden, but I don't think they're coming back on this end.
To be fair, she thought Gronk was coming back last year too. So
shots fired. Hey, if they do come back, I will bet on Tampa Bay again. I can tell you that.
I think he makes more now than he ever would being on the football field. Like that dude's got some lucrative corporate tie-ins and like he's making money hand over fist. So why would you go back to getting your ass kicked every snap when you can stay pretty and sit down and do all your commercials and all of your appearances and not be touched? I think I like that. All right, let's just go one up then. So we talked about the Buccaneers. They're at plus 700. But there's a pretty deep chasm between Tampa Bay and Carolina, who's the next one with the longest odds. Plus 350 for the Panthers to win this division. Again, the odds shorten up quite a bit. They got the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton now at quarterback. They've got Terrence Marshall, DJ Chark, and Adam Thielen. I mean, which Adam Thielen, by the way, we forgot about him once Justin Jefferson came in, and maybe he forgot about himself once Justin Jefferson came in. I feel like this might be a good opportunity for him to get right back on the horse. Carolina now adds Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard still in that backfield. Dare I say, this might be the team I'm the most excited about in this division.
I'm bullish on this team. I bet them the whole second half. I was hoping that they would come through on that NFC South. They came just short. Frank Reich is now the head coach there, and we saw what he did his first year in Indianapolis, going 10-6. He had taken over a situation where they missed the playoffs back-to-back years, and we all know where Frank Reich came from. He was offensive coordinator for Doug Peterson. during the Super Bowl era. Doug Peterson goes to Jacksonville, takes over a last place team or a team that didn't make the playoffs, instantly flips it. If I'm betting on a team right now to win the NFC South with the value, I'm definitely taking the Carolina Panthers. And they have the number 1 overall pick.
Yes, thank you, Carolina, for giving us DJ Moore to get that pick and couple seconds. This team, I think they could be good. I'm a big fan of Miles Sanders. I actually wanted the Bears to sign him. I think he's really good at just grinding it out. He's not a guy that's going to be your put up a bunch of highlight plays in one game, right? But he's consistent. He's very consistent. So I love him getting in there to help whoever their rookie quarterback is. They still have some weapons on as wide receivers, even though they don't have DJ Moore anymore. The defense is good. I mean, this really comes down to who they take with that first selection, right? Mm-hmm. Because there are some guys that they've talked about them taking that I don't think are ready to lead a team to a bunch of wins. And there are some guys that they talked about that I do think. So to me, it all comes down to it's riding on that first pick and who they take with it.
So I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I'm sure somebody's done the research. And if they have, please drop it in the chat, email, just Twitter, put us on Twitter, whatever. I want to know the success rate of these first overall quarterback picks. I mean, because again, we've seen these first overall quarterback picks a lot of the time not live up to, and first round, I guess if you want to go so far as first round, the last few years, it's been, There's been a few hits, but there's been a lot more misses. I mean, I'm talking about Trey Lance. I'm talking about Mac Jones. I'm talking about whoever was in New York when now the Jets, and I can't remember his name anymore because he's Zach Wilson. I was like, I can't remember because obviously it didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. Because now they're talking about Garrett and Aaron Rodgers. So
Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, you want to talk about a long line. That list is almost as long as the back of the Browns jersey at quarterback. But again, these franchise quarterbacks taken in the first round, sometimes it just feels like you put too much pressure on them. You put them on teams that struggle, a la Trevor Lawrence, right? How long did it take him to finally get the Jaguars in contention? And who knows if they stay that way this season, right? I mean, it very well could be that was a great season, but it falls apart this year. So, I mean, you got to see an extended period of time before you consider his career a success so far. So, yeah, it's tough.
I think whoever they select, it sounds like it's between Stroud and Young. JMark, I know you have them taking Stroud. Me personally, I like Young better. I think he showed me more, and those receivers at Ohio State were so good that I'm not going to say anybody could have thrown to them, but those guys were really good. I think whoever it is set up for success because you have a Frank Reich that was there with Carson Wentz early in his days in Philly. When they drafted him as a rookie with Doug Peterson. And I thought Frank Reich kind of got the raw end of the deal in Indy. I mean, it was like a revolving door at the quarterback position. Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Carson Wentz again. And then obviously this year with Matt Ryan was a train wreck, but he's got a good track record of good young quarterbacks. And I think having Andy Dalton as your backup quarterback, that's a good guy to have mentor whoever you're going to bring in. I think that's just as important as having a good head coach is having a veteran that's been around the league, been around the block, had success, and he doesn't have an ego. So I like the signing of Andy Dalton as well.
Yeah, no, I agree there. And like I said, having Miles Sanders there, that's going to immediately help any rookie quarterback, I feel like, because that's a guy that he knows how to do his job, right? Again, not a bunch of highlight plays, but he does his job. So that's going to help. The reason I'm scared off of Young is the dude is small, and I don't know how he's gonna hold up to a bunch of hits. So that's my only concern there. I do agree, good football player, good quarterback, but I just like Stroud's size a little bit better. And Alabama's scheme, I mean, you're talking about a scheme that made Mac Jones look really good, and Mac Jones has not looked really good now. So that I have those concerns as well. But either way, I think if they go with those two, now there's some people that like, oh, they're going to surprise everybody and go with Anthony Richardson. I think that would be a mistake for winning now anyways. Will Levis, I think, would be a mistake. But if they go Stroud or Young, I think they will be all right. And I like them to win this division kind of, or at least be in contention with the Saints, who I think is the other one that is probably high up there on my list of who could win this division.
So then my question is, if they do draft, obviously they're going to draft a quarterback first. That's not even a
Yeah.
question. Do they start him right away? I mean, again, knowing what we know now, like, and seeing the last couple of years play out the way that it has, like, do you just roll Andy Dalton out for a little while and then sprinkle in a la what they did with Trey Lance, right? With Jimmy Garoppolo still starting, but put Trey Lance in every once in a while, and then, see where you go from there. And then of course Trey Lance takes over, but do you do that route, or what do you do? I mean, I don't know. I don't think throwing these quarterbacks in right off the jump is always a good for business.
I think it depends on who they take. If they take Stroud or Young, they're going to be the starter. But like you said, if they take Richardson, kind of the project, kind of like what Justin Fields was when the Bears took him, maybe they sit him behind Andy Dalton for a couple games. I know JMark just dropped his jaw that I stumbled upon Justin Fields' name blankly for a second. I was like thinking of Trey Lance. I go, wait, no, I meant Justin Fields. But yeah, no, I think if they take, I think they're going to take Stroud or Young. I think that's we both agree. And I think they're going to play right away. And you just have Andy Dalton there as a mentor. I don't see it being the same situation as Lance and Fields with what they did with Jimmy G and Andy Dalton.
I think you have to. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say, I think you have to have a true quarterback competition. You bring him in, your draft pick, and you say you compete for this job. And if he's not there yet, then you don't roll him out. I hate when teams roll out players just because, we invested so much in this with our draft, so we have to. No, you roll out the best football players and you let them earn the job. If they're not there yet, they're not there yet. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Who is the last number one pick not to start right away? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Obviously, Trey Lance was number 3, and he didn't start right away. I can't remember the last number 1 that didn't start right away.
I'm asking Google to see if they know.
It's been a while. You could argue, though, it may be the best thing for him in the long run. And we all agree that this division's so bad that, like, if you start Andy Dalton, you're right there in the division throughout. He's going to guarantee you at least 7 wins, in my opinion.
Yeah. To Justin's point, though, too, as far as investing a lot in it, to me, it's like, wouldn't you want to bring it along instead of try to use your investment up all at once and then, get just burned because you've thrown them in too early and now all of a sudden it's not a good investment instead of building on that investment? Again, not a GM. Don't know how this works. So I just feel like it's probably a better investment. But I will tell you what's a fantastic investment as Justin looks up the rest of what's going on is the SGPN merch store, because we're brought to you by the SGPN merch store. See this? From the SGPN merch store. Drink coffee every morning and remind yourself of why the SGPN is so amazing. Plus, in honor of the NBA playoffs, from now until the end of April, get 10% off of anything in the SGPN merch store, just like this, when you use the promo code SGPNBA. Head over to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Use the promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off of every single thing, just like this, just like that hat that Justin's wearing, just like that hat that Ryan is wearing. And I think Justin's got his USFL Gambling Podcast shirt. There you go. Love that as well. Make sure you pick up some of your favorite NFL Gambling Podcast merch while you were there. Store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Promo code SGPNBA. For those of you watching on YouTube right now, thank you very much for doing that. And we continue to love your support and all of the things that it takes for us to stay up on YouTube. While you're at it, why don't you go like this video, subscribe, ring the bell, do a little dance. I don't know. YouTube's got some crazy things that make the algorithms work. Whatever that is, please do that to make us continue to rise in the ranks of the YouTube world. The bosses love it. We love it. You'll love it. It's all fun. All love here on the SGPN. And we'll continue to love the NFC South, which is exactly what's happened. Justin, what do you got? What did you find?
So I found 2, but it's on Reddit. So take it for what it's worth.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly. Carson Palmer and Alex Smith.
Oh, Alex Smith, baby. Let's go.
Alex Smith did not start right away. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They said Carson Palmer didn't start from day one. In fact, he took 0 snaps his rookie season. John Kitna played in his place.
Who played over Alex Smith, Rod?
Wasn't that not Kaepernick. Who was there at the end of Smith?
Was it Troy Smith? No, not Troy Smith.
No. Oh my God, you're making me think way back. Google, come to our rescue for that, because that was early 2000s, right? That was like
2005,
2008. I can't remember who was playing at that point, but yeah, Alex Smith did not start for sure. And now if it was Aaron Rodgers, he would have started.
JMark's like, why didn't you draft Aaron Rodgers so I wouldn't have had to deal with him for the last 15 years?
No doubt.
All right, well, let's move on in the NFC South. I'll find that answer for you in a little bit. I love it because that's a good question. It's gonna make me, listen. It's funny because you asked me that, right? I'm a Niners fan, yes. But you know how much football knowledge I've had between like now and then? I'm not Colby. I can't just collect it in my head.
The database.
All right. So the Falcons come up on the next favorites to win this at plus 275. The increments here are kind of so like I don't understand them, but whatever. But the Falcons are the second favorite to win the division with Desmond Ridder at quarterback. They've got Tyler Algier at running back. And then, of course, Drake London with their gigantic tight end Kyle Pitts as their pass catchers. They got Scotty Miller from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Mac Hollins from the Vegas Raiders. So their offense is looking stout. Defensively, I don't know that you can get excited about this team. Bud Dupree comes by way of Tennessee, which is a good addition. But past that, guys, first of all, do they deserve to be the second favorite to win this division? And is 275 just not enough value to try to bet on them?
This is confusing to me why they're ahead of Carolina. But it also sums up what the NFC South was last year, where Tampa Bay won the division. They're now in last place odds-wise. Carolina was second. They're in third. Atlanta was third. They're in second, and New Orleans finished in dead last, and now they're the odds-on favorite. So this is the NFC South in a nutshell. I mean, we liked them early as a darling covering. They play a brand of football where they like to run the ball, and they got those big receivers, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, but a lot of inconsistency. You just don't know what you got at the quarterback position with Desmond Ridder, and I mean, me personally, I like Heineke over Ridder.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where they're going to be like, well, we went out and drafted Desmond Ridder, so we need to give him the opportunity. But I don't think it's going to be a very long leash because they have a guy like Taylor Heineke who has performed well and can win football games. So that's interesting to me, just their quarterback situation in general. For as far as draft needs, they do have several there, like everywhere I looked, because when I did this 7-round mock, I pulled draft needs from 4 different places. And everywhere said running back and quarterback. And I just can't see them investing in either with the players they have. So I didn't draft them a running back or a quarterback. I did get them a receiver at the very beginning of, I think they have pick 8. So I gave them the top receiver in the draft because I think you add another dynamic receiver to this team. It probably doesn't matter who's at quarterback. It's going to help them out. It's going to help move that ball. And then you can kind of throw the pieces together on defense as you go. Now, hindsight, I did the draft several times to see how it would play out. Teams aren't going to be able to do that, obviously. I liked the edge rushers that they got when I did a receiver first rather than taking one right away. But this team is interesting, and I agree with you. I do not think they are a better team than the Panthers, at least not betting wise. There's no reason. There's nothing about them that screams to me like, oh, I should be betting them instead of the Panthers to win this.
Yeah. And again, this is the crapshoot that is the NFC South. And I don't know what to gauge this. And then maybe even 2 or 3 weeks into the season, I don't know how to gauge this NFC South. And anybody that says they've got a finger on the pulse for the NFC South, hit me up. I want to know because I can't figure it out. And I've been watching football forever.
I think maybe if you want to take the Falcons, you wait and see who's going to play quarterback. If it's Ritter, and like you said, if they start 2-4 and then they make the switch to Heineke, then you might be able to get better odds, and you get that Heineke magic for 4 or 5 games that we've seen back-to-back years in Washington. And maybe Heineke gets them back in the division race. But they are an intriguing team. Arthur Smith is in year number 3. He's on 7-10 back-to-back years, and it feels like they've maximized everything out of the roster just to get to 7-10 back-to-back years. So maybe there's some regression coming just from the 7-10. I know that sounds crazy, like regression from 7-10, but their roster is not that good, top to bottom.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a struggle. I mean, it wasn't as if they were fantastic with Mariota there as well, right? It was a tough road for them to hoe with him there as well. But by the way, Tim Rattay was the quarterback when Alex Smith was drafted. He was
Is
the
that
one
what you've been doing over there?
I was feverishly looking back through. It's amazing how different these rosters have been. It's just like I look back at the 2004 Niners. I don't recognize any of it. It's like, who the hell are you? I don't remember. But yeah. So yeah, again, I mean, look, I don't know why the Falcons are there. I definitely will not be betting them, especially at 275. It just doesn't feel like good enough value at all. So stay away from the Atlanta Falcons as a betting future. Just not good enough return for you.
Unless Heineke's playing.
Well, I don't know. I know that our spring football love runs deep, but it's got to run out sometime, right? All right. So the last team on this list, of course, is the New Orleans Saints. They are now the favorite to win the NFC South, but only being offered at plus 110 to win this whole thing. It's so close to even money do they really value the addition of Derek Carr in this offense as that much of a boost to a 7-10 team that now all of a sudden they're going to win? Of course, it may only take two more wins, but I know the books are leaning pretty heavy. Is it really just the Derek Carr thing, or what else could make them have this much of a swing for the New Orleans Saints?
I think this is an inflated price. I'm not going to take the Saints at this price just because we've seen Derek, like we all like Derek Carr, but none of us love Derek Carr. And I feel like he's getting a little bit overhyped here coming into New Orleans. I mean, there was a reason that Vegas was at the basement of that division when they acquired Devontae Adams, of all people. Like, they acquired one of the best receivers in football, and their team got worse. Carr was really good 2 years ago, but that's kind of been what he has been in his career, up and down, lacking consistency. And I just feel like this kind of feels like the team that's going to disappoint a lot of people. I think everybody in America is going to pick the Saints to win this division because it's like, oh, they're going from Andy Dalton to Derek Carr. Yes, Derek Carr's an upgrade. I don't know if he's that much of an upgrade, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the price. Now, I think the Saints do win this division. I really do. I think the price, though, is more an inflection of the other teams and how they don't have a solid quarterback that because we don't know if Baker is for sure going to be the starter at Tampa. Are the Falcons going with Ritter, or are they going to throw Heineke in there? And then who knows, whoever gets drafted may play, or Andy Dalton for the Panthers. So this is the only team that has their set quarterback, their set veteran, that they know what to expect from him. And I think that's likely why they are the favorites. And that's why I think they probably do win this division. They have some good pieces. Chris Olave is a good wide receiver. Michael Thomas, if he can stay healthy and have his head right and play every down, he kind of tends to give up, it seems like. Alvin Kamara is in some legal issues, but I love the Jamal Williams signing, because that guy, he just plays with so much heart. So this will be an interesting team to watch. This is the one, like I said, I'm most interested to see how they do with Carr there. And I think they're priced. It is juiced a little. It's not great odds because it is almost even money, but I think it makes sense that they are the favorites and they probably will win this division. If I'm betting divisions, I don't like even money. I want to try to take a stab on somebody to end up getting up there. You'd like the Panthers.
Well, and my question is, why would you tie your money up for an entire season at plus 110 when you could probably get that same price for them week 1 and win it immediately? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be tied up in plus 110 this early in the season. Go after it in week 1. Go get your money now when they're going to not be favorites to win whoever they play in week 1, because I guarantee you they're probably not going to be favorites to win. They'll probably be underdogs, and you'll probably sneak out a win if they put it together in week 1.
Yeah, and
True.
I my other concern with New Orleans is Dennis Allen as a coach. Kind of look, I mean, he was 8-28 in Oakland. They were Oakland at the time with the Raiders, so he brings over Derek Carr, another Raider. And then they were 7-10 last year. They were projected like 10-11 wins. So like he's underperformed everywhere he's gone as a head coach. Great defensive coordinator, but I think they really miss Sean Payton. That's another reason why I'm looking to fade the Saints next year, I think.
You know, and here's the thing too. If you look at these guys and you look at the way they're put together, and by the way, I love Derek Carr as well, only because I am a Fresno State football fan, and I love all things Fresno State. So go Derek Carr. But you know, you look at what he'll be able to do. He had a good one receiver, right, in Devontae Adams last year. He's got a good one in Michael Thomas this year. Obviously, Michael Thomas doesn't succumb to the injury bug again. But, you know, it just, to me, it feels like they weren't just a quarterback away from being a playoff contending team last year. They had a lot more work to do than just being a quarterback away. So you may not see the impact of a Derek Carr this season, but if you're patient, I suppose, and you're willing to build up around him like the Raiders weren't, then I think you may be able to get some good value out of him.
The problem there is, how old is he? Is he 31?
Yeah, he's getting up there. Definitely.
Yeah. It's like, how much longer does he have his good years in him? Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I like their Swiss Army knife and Taysom Hill as well. I forgot to mention him. I mean, quarterback, running back, tight end, line him up anywhere. I do like him. And Miranda loves Derek Carr. We don't talk gambling on old-fashioned football. However, when he met with the Saints as a trade partner, but then came away with no deal, he was 10-1 for whatever reason on the books to go to the Saints. And she was like, this seems like the sketchiest shit I've ever seen. He's going to end up on the Saints. Like, he just went there and they probably said, hey, we'll give you a deal, but we're not going to give up draft capital. And there you go. There he was on the Saints afterwards. So good call.
Well, there's not very many places that he could have gone really ultimately, right? I mean, you know, he could have gone to the Panthers. That would have made a little more sense. But then they got the number 1 pick and they were like, screw it, we don't need it. We got somebody we're going to build off of, right?
Yeah.
No doubt.
All right. Well, we already got the division winners out of the way. What say we move on to some win totals? How does that sound, gentlemen?
I like
Do it.
All right. So looking at, let's just go in order, alphabetical order here, because as I scroll through, I see the Carolina Panthers as the first team that I see. And that win total is set at, no surprise, 7.5. The over is juiced at minus 120. The under is at plus 100. Do we think the Panthers can get one more win this season with whoever they start at quarterback and cash this minus 120?
Yeah, I think we already talked about it with we like their plus 375 to win the NFC South. If they're going to do that, they got to get at least 8 wins. Or at least we think. So yeah, I like the Panthers here, and I think that I'll go 9-8. So I really like the over. That's probably my favorite play in this division. Panthers over 7.5.
I also like the over. I think they are going to improve. So yeah, I definitely like the over there.
I think they can get to 8. I think that's probably realistic. I think they can at least get to 8. I think they do pick up one more win, just because, again, I don't think this is going to be a vastly improved team, but we weren't talking about needing to be barn burners to win this NFC South. We just said they were going to win the South. And if 8 wins does it, 8 wins does it. So, yeah, I have a feeling the over is in play here too. I mean, look, they juice up that under. They want to tempt you into saying, nah, they're just going to get 7 wins again this season. Don't fall for it, folks. Go ahead and take the over, take the hook, take the 8 wins. and be happy with it. All right. Well, so we talked about the Saints probably being the team that does win this if the Carolina Panthers don't rather. But they're over under. This one's tough. It's 9.5. This is at plus 105 at the over, minus 125 at the under. We just got done saying 8 wins probably wins the South.
Yeah.
Does New Orleans have 3 more wins in them from last season?
I'm definitely on the under. I think we already talked about it. I think maximum a team gets to 9 wins in this division. I think it's probably going to be 8 again, just like last year with Tampa Bay. So hammer the under with this one for me.
I tend to lean that way. This one is tough because I think they're going to win 9 or 10 games. So this one, they've got it perfect right at 9.5.
Did you set the odds?
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, I know. Personally, I would stay away from this one, but if I had to pick a side, I would go with the under because, I think Derek Carr is going to light the league on fire? No. So I'll take 9 wins.
Hey, I've been accused of being irresponsible lately, so give me the over. I
There we go.
like plus 105. I feel like they may sneak a couple of extra wins into the season. It won't be easy. It won't be pretty. But you know what? Why the hell not? Let's go Fresno State. Give me the over on this one. I like plus money. It'll be surprising. I don't know. I contradict myself all the time. According to some folks out there. But that's just me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird situation for New Orleans. I want to like their potential, but also I realize that they're not as good a team as they could be. So, all right. Next on the list is the Atlanta Falcons. They're over under set at 8.5. I'm noticing a theme here in these books, sticking right around that 9 to 8 range, 9 to 7 range. The over on this one, plus 110. The under at minus 130. I'm surprised, first and foremost, that the under is not like minus 1,000 because it feels like it should be way, way more juiced.
I'm going to go under. I think they go 7-10 for a third straight year for under Arthur Smith. So under for me, and Taylor Heineke has been a part of 7-win teams plenty. So if he comes in, he's probably going to go 7-10. That's what he did in Washington. So yeah, it'll be an entertaining 7 and 10 like it was in Washington, but nevertheless 7 wins.
Yeah, I like the under here. I like the Saints and the Panthers more than this team. So I just don't see them getting to that 8 or even 9 wins. They're gonna hit under.
Yeah, this is not even one that I would touch the over at all. And again, I mean, at minus 130, my buddy Cody in the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, his patented saying is you only pay the juice if you lose. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to lose. So minus 130 is not going to eat at you. But again, win totals are such a weird win totals in conference and division winners. They're such a weird thing to wrap your money in for so long, unless you're putting a really sizable investment down on them, right?
Yeah, no doubt. It's futures, especially this early, because there's going to be an injury or two in minicamp, OTAs. So, I mean, we don't want it to happen, but it's reality. Preseason, even though they barely play it, there's probably going to be an injury or two, a late August pickup that'll impact it even more.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rod.
Oh no, you're
just gonna say the only thing I like about win totals, I never bet big on them. I just do the little tiny little bets on almost every team, and then I forget that I've done that. And so at the end of the year, when all of a sudden like my account goes up, it's like, oh hey, where'd that come from? That's the only thing I like about win totals is normally I forget that I've bet them because I don't bet a bunch of money on them because again, I don't want to tie my money up for a whole season
for 4 months. Yeah,
like a little Christmas present to you.
Yeah, exactly.
He already bet the over on the Bears and under on the Packers.
Absolutely.
Parlayed.
That's auto. In fact, the books already do that for him. They're like, we already have deducted your account for these bets. Like, we
want to roll that over.
Exactly.
Right. Let's move on to the first team we talked about, but the last team here on this list. And honestly, I feel like the books don't even know what to do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have set their over under at a whopping 6.5, but Both sides are juiced evenly at minus 110. So the books are like, we don't know. Pick a side.
Yeah.
It's a pick-em.
Feels like a 6-11 team. They won 8 games with Brady. Brady's not there. I got to think that they're going to not win as many games with Tom Brady. I mean, he single-handedly was the reason why they were even in the playoffs. I think this is a 5-6 win team.
Yeah, I'm taking the under.
Yeah.
I'm taking the under. I think this may be one of the worst teams in the league that gets their number 1 draft pick and takes quarterback next year.
Could be.
Yeah, that actually that makes a lot of sense because I mean nobody has staked their future on Baker Mayfield and actually been happy about it. Once again, Baker, all I'm saying, takes one to know one. I'm right there with you, right? His overall career record is 31-38. So he's not even a 500 quarterback at this point in his career. There's no way I think they're going to get to 7 wins rather.
Well, and the crazy thing is everybody forgets that he started in Carolina last year. And then as soon as they basically cut him and traded him to LA, they cut him, right?
They cut him.
They cut him. They traded McCaffrey. Then PJ Walker and Sam Darnold kind of led that team on a little bit of a run down the stretch. So they went from being the number 1 pick in the draft with Baker, like when they cut him, to all of a sudden almost being right there to win the NFC South. So, yeah, I think Baker, this is not a match made in heaven at all in Tampa Bay. It would be warm for him at least.
True. I will say he did impress me. Once he landed with the Rams, he learned that playbook in 5 days and won that game. That was impressive, but I'm going to chalk that more up to flukiness.
Well, I'm going to chalk
and an indictment on the Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing too.
Touche.
Yeah. PJ Walker, Houston Roughnecks represent, baby. Gotta love that happening as well.
And now Chicago Bear.
Oh, yeah. And now Chicago Bear.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, you're definitely winning the North.
Equals there. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Culture.
PJ Walker, backing up. Yeah, please. Again, this is going to be one of those teams where if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, buckle up. You're in for a rough ride for however long it takes for you guys to rebuild. Again, as a Niners fan, I feel you on that one. I know exactly what rebuilding seasons are like. And we're still in the middle of it now because we don't know who's going to be our quarterback going into the year.
Sam Darnold.
Oh my God. Oh.
You could play anybody at quarterback and you'll still be in the NFC Championship with that roster.
True.
McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle. Yeah,
just don't have them all get injured in the same game again.
That's easier said than done, my friend. All right. Well, I feel like we've thoroughly exhausted. Anything else we got to cover out here for the NFC South for everybody out there?
I'd assume none of us like any of these teams to get anywhere to the NFC Championship or anything like that. There's no point going over those bettings because
let's do that. Let's talk about what those odds are. Justin, do you have those pulled up? I want folks to have a good laugh on this Tuesday morning. Let's have a good laugh.
See. Conference winner.
I'm going to imagine that all 4 of them are in the bottom 7, 8 teams in the conference for the NFC.
Saints
Maybe
the Saints are the 5th favorite. What for the NFC Conference Championship?
They're 14-1.
Yeah, you got Eagles above them, 49ers, Cowboys, Lions, and then the Saints.
I'm fading the Saints. There's too much love there, man.
How in the world is that possible? Derek Carr being there is not like bringing Tom Brady there. It's just and I'm not talking about Tom Brady like now. I'm talking about Tom Brady like 5 years ago when Tampa did that. That's not the kind of move that you just made. Like I don't know how that vaults them this high into it. Above guys like the Bears of all teams, right?
I'm insulted.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
How are we this far down?
Washington.
We're down there with Atlanta, Carolina, and Tampa, man. Disrespectful. Good.
Well, at least they're not the Cardinals at 100-1. But yeah, Tampa Bay 30 or 35-1, Carolina 30-1, Atlanta 28-1. Those are your
We've just ruined Ryan's day by looking at these, and he saw the Commanders are that low. It's like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
the hell?
Hey,
We
let him
got
out, man.
Snyder to sell, man. We're on the way up, baby. Hey,
But I
you know
would
what?
highly advise against betting on any of that. Don't
Right.
touch any of that. Like that's not even something that's worth speculating on at this point. So I think we're okay leaving them alone. Right?
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, I believe that that does it. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I want to know what their Super Bowl odds are. just out of morbid curiosity. Carolina 75-1, Atlanta 70-1, Tampa 65-1, the Saints 35-1 to win the Super Bowl.
Wow.
So the Bucks, Panthers, and Falcons are 3 out of the bottom 6 teams in the NFL. Super Bowl odds wise. That's wild. This is definitely the worst division in the NFL.
Well, I need to start working for a book soon then, don't I? All right. Well, I feel like we have reached the natural end now. We've exhausted all of our bullets. Now that we've exhausted all of our laugh track for this episode, let's just wrap this up by letting everybody know. First of all, are you going to be watching the NFC South intently? And second of all, where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac, in the Discord as well. So hop in there. We always have a good time. It's going to be fun with the draft next week. So, but yes, I will be watching the NFC South because this is going to come down to the wire. So this is going to be an 18-week season in the NFC South. First 1 to 8 wins.
I'm not watching them. This isn't worth watching. No. Follow me on Twitter at JMark Football. Also in the Discord, I hang around the bar a lot. There's a bar in the Discord, so come check that out and check out Old Fashioned Football. We're giving some whiskey away this month, so check it out.
Please do so. Plus, check it out for all of the fun guests that they have as well. Always a great time with the Marks. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, going strong every single day. We love you hanging out in the Discord as well. We'll hang out. I'll need to hang out more at the bar with Justin. He needs to buy me some virtual drinks there.
There you go.
All right. We'll be back again with another division next week. It's a surprise. We'll figure that out when we get there. But until then, have fun, everybody, and let it ride.